a key gang.
Be crazy. Today video I'm doing the saying Mr. Beast, my fault. Mr. Beast name 1,001 times. 1,001 times. So if I get this right before the sundown, if I say his name 1,001 times, y'all gotta like the video up, y'all gotta subscribe to the channel, and y'all got to share it to him. Matter of fact, tag him in there. Tag it in there. Tag him. Oh yeah, and I also got this clicker right here. Alright, here we go. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Mr. Beast, 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 I did 200. 200 already. Stop. I just allowed to fly in, but let's go. Mr. Beast, 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 Beast, Mr. 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 Beast, Beast, Mr. 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 Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Four, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast. I'm at 500. Well, I'm gonna do another 500. That's gonna make 1,000. Boy, I gotta give me some drink, y'all. I gotta give me some drink. 500 more. Y'all ready? Let's go. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. B, Mr. B, Mr. B, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Oh, this. Woo. Mr. Beast, 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 Beast, Mr. 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 Beast, Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast. I'm messing up, God. Mr. Beast, 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 Beast, Mr. 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 Beast. Y'all keep messing up. Ah! Mr. Beast, 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 Beast, Mr. 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 Beast. This is tongue down, boy. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. 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 Beast. 700. Mr. Beast, 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 Beast. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. I'm saying all type of stuff in it. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. Oh gosh. Y'all just tearing me. This tiring me out. I ain't gonna count. Let me go here. Mr. Beast, 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 Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Beast. Hello, hi. I said Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast. I ain't gonna lie, y'all keep saying this. This right here, it's tongue tingling. Like, this right here is harder than I thought. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. Damn, these don't flies are killing me. Mr. Beast, 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 Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast. I was saying his name right. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. God, heck. I made it to 900. I made it to 900. I made it to 900. Y'all ready? Y'all got it. Y'all, hey, listen. Y'all got to tag him. Once I get to 1,000 more, y'all got to go tag him. Y'all got to let the video up. Y'all got to subscribe. Everything. Y'all got to. Because this is hard. Y'all ever try this? This is hard. I felt his pain when he was doing it. So just imagine. And the reason why I want to do 1,001, because everybody was doing 1,000. So I want to be the first one to do 1,001. So hopefully on the first one, when y'all see it, hopefully on the first one to do 1,001. So, like I said, if I did it, like, comment, subscribe, share, send it to him, tag it to him, everything. Let's go. All right. Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. I had to stop. My jump stopped recording. Oops, I'm sorry. Mr. Beast, 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 Beast, Mr. 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 Beast. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. B, Mr. B, Mr. B, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. B, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, gosh, Mr. Beast, 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 Mr. Beast. 1,000 times, y'all. I done hit it 1,000. Here it goes. Listen, this. Yes, it is. 1,000 times. Never mind the screen. But 1,000 times I done hit it. Whew. This is my last one. And I'm going to show y'all Mr. Beast. I done hit it 101 times. So y'all, make sure y'all go like this video up. Make sure you comment down below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you tag Mr. Beast. Tell him I got him. Yeah. Hey, subscribe. Make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure y'all share this. Make sure y'all send to other people. Y'all know what? Just because I'm feeling good, I'm gonna do it 5 times. Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast. 1,005 times I did the Mr. Beast. Saying his Mr. Beast name 1,005 times. So listen, y'all, make sure y'all go tag him and tell him I done said his name 1,005 times. 1,005 times. I ran out of breath, but I did it before. Excuse me. Before dark time, I did it. Next one, I'm gonna do CJ So Cool, but I'm gonna do his 1,010. So y'all got to spare him up. Got to show him. I'm out of here. I gotta catch my breath. And I'm out here.